Shadiversity.
Greetings, I'm Shad.
And greetings, I am Tyranth.
Yeah,
Put down the chainsaw. Today
I don't want to! It's a chainsaw.
Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Warhammer, our Space Marine 2. It's recently come out, and it is a very, very good game.
I have such divided opinions on Warhammer 40k. Oh, it's not too complicated. I love the universe.
Okay, there
I
we
think
go.
the universe is just metal.
Okay, yep.
I just hate the company.
Sure, yeah, okay, all right.
You're expecting a hot take from
Well,
me,
yeah, I
man.
was excited. I love Warhammer 40k,
Same.
and I love the universe as well. The lore is chef's kiss. I even love what we're talking about today, which is the chain sword from the Astartes. However, when you translate that into the real world, I have a weird OCD thing in my brain that does not like it.
I am divided on the chainsaw, and this might be more of a hot take.
Okay.
I have thought about it a lot, and
Yep.
there's past videos where I thought it could possibly work with the technology. The thing is though, in the Warhammer universe, they have energy swords already, and they would be so much more efficient and effective than the chain swords that I'm not sure I see a point.
I agree.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
What is going on here?
This is the thing though, like, as a fantasy weapon, and I never really do this, you know me, I prefer real weapons and I like to bring them into the real world. This is the one weapon I never want to bring into the real world, because as soon as I bring it into the real world, I start to pick it apart, I start to not like it, and we're talking about me. I am not the most pedantic person. If you call a katana and a tachi the same thing, I don't care.
I do.
There's a difference between cutting and sawing.
But is it a boat? See, I was trying to go for one of the most awkward transitions
I don't care about your
ever.
transitions. I am just thinking about why this upsets me.
Because this video is sponsored by World of Warships. So, World of Warships is a free-to-play, naval-themed PC game available right now. But good news, it is also available on consoles, so you're not going to miss out. So you can check out World of Warships by clicking on the first link in the description. Don't miss out, and there are heaps of cool features. And use promo code BRAVO, all in capitals, BRAVO, to receive a huge starter pack as well as 500 doubloons, 1.5 million credits, 7 days premium account time, and a free ship after you complete 15 battles. And yes, free to play, with new content being released every month. This includes new ships, in-game nations, cosmetics, and even ship classes. And I particularly love that when the developers keep a game alive with all this great new content. It keeps the gameplay fresh and enjoyable, especially in the big, large battles where you can constantly find new content that you're playing against, and World of Warships has large 12v12 battle arenas. One of the things that I like the most is the variety of the ship classes, especially with me being a pedantic kind of historical Puritan where I want to see all the variety that was there in the period, as well as maybe some fun little exceptions. But with World of Warships, you get to conquer the oceans with some of history's most iconic battleships. So, a really cool game, free to play. You can dive in right now. All you need to do is click on that link in the description, and remember to use that promo code BRAVO, B-R-A-V-O in capitals. Specifically use it during registration to receive that huge starter pack, including 500 doubloons, 1.5 million credits, 7 days premium account time, and also a free ship after you complete those first 15 missions. Genuinely, looks like a lot of fun, and thank you to World of Warships for sponsoring this video. Beautiful segue to sponsorship.
Sorry, I'm laser focused on my anger today. I just...
All right, what was the point that you mentioned before? Because I did not register it at all.
A sword should slice, a saw removes material. That is a very big definitional difference.
Then a lightsaber isn't a sword.
How though?
It doesn't slice at all. It melts material. That's its whole function.
I could count that as a slice.
No, that's not a...
Well, I could. Because we're talking about fantasy weapons, there's a little bit of leeway here. But it's you've seen what they look like, right? They have teeth. They saw things.
What about a sword that has teeth? Serrated, they exist.
I don't count them as swords.
They are swords!
No.
No, yes they are!
It is a chainsaw, okay? That is my point.
That's the thing. I agree that it is a chainsaw as well as a sword-like object. We do have the title of this video now. Is the chainsaw a sword?
Exactly.
That's that.
All right. moving away from my pedanticness, do you think it's a good weapon, just in a general sense?
Well, that's hard to really gauge because are you talking about the in-universe technology version or in the real world?
Let's talk about both.
In the real world, it's basically, I mean, I was about to say impossible, okay? And that's not to say you could not make a chainsaw in the configuration of we've seen them online. People have actually made, like, you know, there's these odd types of chainsaw things that have a kind of handle.
Yep.
Okay, the thing why I say it's impossible is that you could never, unless technology improves a lot, but with current day technology, you could never make a version of this in a sword configuration that would be reliable and consistent and not break down after the first few hits.
Sure.
And even if it wouldn't break down, we're talking about a very inefficient weapon. People might not realize that when you're fighting with a sword, right, the contact the blade has with the target is like a fraction of a second, usually. And the person who gets hit will either move away or it'll get deflected or it'll move through the target, okay? Only the contact only remains when you like run someone through. But even then, that's rare. A stab will still usually have the person move back and get away. That makes a massive problem with a chainsaw-like weapon because
It's heavy, isn't it?
it is heavy. But pretending that this could work, okay, to do the damage it needs to do, it needs to maintain contact on the target. Okay, and for the brief moments that you land a hit, you will do superficial, even messy damage, but actually it'll be less lethal than a regular sword.
Right. I agree. There's also a huge issue. It doesn't matter what shape the teeth are, and that is bounce and bite. Because you have moving parts here, you have moving teeth traveling very, very quickly. When you hit something, there is a chance that it'll either just bounce off, or what I think would be worse is ripping into something and then ripping out of your hands.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The closest I've seen personally to like a real chainsword is, I think, Orme, the channel, the one who did all the pop culture stuff. They basically made a real chainsword out of a chainsaw, I might add. And the teeth on it were ridiculous. All they would do, as soon as they would touch an object, they would rip it into you. So I think in the real world, it's terrible.
It's a terrible idea in the real world. And then, just as I was mentioning, the fact that it would break so quickly, you've got so many small moving parts. There's a reason why a chainsaw is used kind of slowly and carefully. If you are swinging this around and smacking things with it, all right, there's a very high chance you will break the chain. It can fly off and hit you, break a motor or something in there. Practically in the real world, this is just unfeasible.
Okay.
But okay.
Let's look at it in
universe.
I still don't think it's that good. How do I preface this? Because people are probably thinking that I don't like it. I love it. It's so fun to play with. I think it's a cool weapon.
And it has this visual, because when it's depicted, they fudge the reality and just have it like, it doesn't bounce off, they remain contact, and it has this visceral kind of, and then it just also cuts through much quicker than probably would in reality.
Sure.
And it looks incredible because of that.
But the thing is, even when I start thinking about it in universe, I don't think it's that good either. Like, what are we going to be fighting? Let's say Xenos or Tyranids. They still have exoskeletons on the outside. It's not like they're just flesh.
Well, this is where I come to my point where I think their regular energy swords are so much better. But let's pretend they didn't have any other option apart from this more kind of practical concept where it's like, all right, we're dealing with enemies that a regular sword can't chop through. Because this is the thing, a sword can't chop through a log that thick, okay? But a chainsaw can. Okay?
Yes.
And now, pretending they don't have access to the energy swords, and maybe energy swords have a different energy requirement, or they're too expensive for the regular troops, or any number of things, right? They need a melee weapon that can get through the tough hides of their enemies.
Sure.
Okay. Would it then work?
No, I don't. So this one's going to be a little bit hard to explain. So the chain sword has gaps in between the teeth. So you have large pieces of teeth and there's gaps, meaning that needs to accelerate at such a degree that it basically creates a continuous blade.
But we're talking with futuristic technology. I actually expect these things that their RPMs are insane.
Yes, but once you apply resistance to that, those RPMs will slow. Like, that is just a law of like physics.
Futuristic technology, sci-fi motors. We're talking about like you need several tons of resistance to slow this blade down.
The machine spirit makes sure.
Yes, no. We're going to try and give it every bit of charity in-universe in this regard. And so it is basically a near unstoppable blade of rotating, death.
Sure. The only issue I have with that, for example, like the game, you look at the opening cinematics and it moves just like a chainsaw, dude.
We're trying to give it the charity. We're trying to give it the charity, right? Because the way to solve some of our objections, right, is, all right, sci-fi technology, we're just going to hand wave that it can handle the abuse and not break down. And then sci-fi advanced motor, it is spinning so fast, okay, I think that would actually solve some of the bouncing issues and the difficulty of lengthy contact needed to do damage. Because if it is spinning so insanely fast, at even a fraction of a second, it could still zip through your opponent pretty good.
Sure.
It would be messy as hell, especially going that fast because it's removing material, and so it would just be like a explosion of blood to get through.
I still think that there's going to be an issue, no matter how much charity we give it, that it will reach a material that is stronger than it or at the same degree, and you will get massive bite that would like
not if it's moving that fast. If it's moving that fast, it doesn't have enough time to sink in enough to bite onto something. It's constantly shimming and shaving off the surface. So I actually think if it's moving fast enough, that would be avoided.
That is so much charity.
It is, though there is a new issue that would arise out of the chain spinning insanely fast. And this might actually really affect its utility.
You don't think a gyroscopic effect, do you?
Gyroscopic effect.
I was thinking about that, and I don't know, because it's such a weird shape.
I think that the gyroscopic effect would actually apply over the whole length then. And so your forward and back motion would be fine, but your sideways motion would be, like, you wouldn't only feel a resistance. If it's moving as fast as it would need to be, it would really be tough. But the thing is, there's an answer to this. Space Marines are so friggin' strong in their power armor anyway, they could probably just tank it.
See, this is why I don't like talking about, like, lore stuff, because you can just come up with any crap for any crap. And it's ridiculous.
As long as there is a logical, something that addresses the issue, and there is. This isn't me trying to make something up. It already exists.
I agree with
power
you.
armor.
It's just this is why I don't like I like dealing with the real world, because there's rules.
So, I think, like with the charity and the setting and sci-fi tech, it could actually still work. Actually, and it could be even quite effective because like I said, if the blade's moving fast enough, the thing is though, it would be vastly more messy and explodey than perhaps it's depicted. Yeah. Because if you chop through someone like in a normal speed of a cut, but instead of separating material, it needed to remove that material in that whole thing, that material needs to move out of the way in that very short amount of time. And so we are dealing with almost explosive damage.
Okay.
For that to play out.
Okay, so all right, to bring everything back full circle, do you think it's a sword? Does it classify as a sword to you in either both the lore and real world application?
You're probably going to hate my answer.
All right.
By the technical definition of what a actual sword is, a blade, all right?
Okay, so is this a sword?
No.
Okay.
But it is a sword-like object. It has the configuration of a sword.
Don't. Okay, all right.
Like, lightsabers are not, because a sword, truly, a sword has a pretty strict definition. It's a metal-bladed thing with a handle. Okay. Anything outside of that is not a sword anymore. Okay. And so that means lightsabers aren't really technically swords, which obviously they're not.
Sure, okay.
But they are sword-like objects.
Is it a chain sword?
Yes.
You think it's a chain sword?
You know why?
Why?
The prefix gives it a new definition. It's a something sword. Like, for instance, a fire sword It's not a blade, it's just literally a blade of fire. But that description gives it a new definition. A jelly sword. Is it a sword? No. Is it a sword made of jelly? Yes, it is a jelly sword. So this is, in the perfect understanding of the definition, it is a chainsaw in the configuration of a sword, so it is a chain sword.
Okay, so is this a chain sword?
No, it's not in the configuration of a sword.
Well, what's the difference? Because keep in mind, this is the exact same configuration as a chain sword from Warhammer 40k. The only difference
is the handle.
No. The handle's basically the same.
Oh, yeah,
this
not really.
is a sword handle. What are you talking about?
If I could...
Just because you're holding it there doesn't change how you hold it. That is how you hold a sword.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
See, because this is the configuration of a sword. That's what you would expect.
Yes.
This, no.
I agree.
So that's a chainsword.
This is a chainsword.
This
yes.
is not.
That is not.
But
I still don't think that this is
it's not a sword, but it is a sword. Like it is a chain sword.
See, this is where even
look, a jelly sword isn't a sword, but it is a sword made of jelly. Ergo, it is a jelly sword.
See, this is like the conversation I have in my head every time I think about this. I hate it so much.
I love it
because the issue that I take with all of it is the fact that it has large teeth. It doesn't give you a continuous blade.
Doesn't need to.
You sure? Because that's a sword.
We're not trying to say it's a sword. We're saying it's a chain sword.
Yes.
And the definition of a chain sword is this.
Because this to me is a saw sword. It's a saw sword. It's a sword-like object, but it saws things like this. I would, if we're gonna play by these rules, I would call this a saw sword. If we want to go that far,
we can't argue the point anymore because we're in such deep.
It's our job.
We're in the deepest part of the weeds of this conversation in terms of the pedantic definition of terms that becomes subjective. There's now nowhere to argue from because
I don't know why.
I can't impose my definition and use of language on you, so
it's just this one thing. I don't care about any other definitions. Just this one definition I get really weird about. Okay,
all right.
I think that's all.
Guys, let us know in the comments, do you think a chain sword is a chain sword? Which it has to be! It cannot, if that's its definition.
It's a saw sword. This is a saw sword. This is a saw sword.
A saw sword is you grab a saw and you put a sword handle on it.
That's what this is. That's what that is.
No!
It's a saw.
Because the chain action is like,
A chain saw sword.
Is a chain saw a saw?
Yes. And this would be a chain saw sword. Chain saw sword. The Warhammer 40k, it's not a chainsaw. It's a chain
It's a chainsaw sword.
Yes. Yes. All right. That's all for today, guys. We agree. We're done. Video here. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Check out the sponsor, Warships.
Or we could just call it a chainsaw.
No.